Hello everyone, welcome to Homegrown Yoga Online. My name is Meredith Wolf. I'm joining you this evening for Restore and Refocus. We're going to find a nice restorative class here on our mats. There's a few things I just want to mention before we get started. One thing in particular is that for this class, I would highly recommend you find some props at home. If you don't have an actual yoga block handy, that's no problem at all. There's plenty of things you can substitute. You might just find a nice blanket and fold that up nice and tightly. That's something you might want to just keep handy regardless. It'll be comfortable at certain times. But another suggestion I have is to find a few books. I would recommend maybe paperback. They're a little bit softer than hardcover. And stack as many as you'd like to make a block of your own size. And then I actually just took a necktie and tied them together. And I'm going to use this as my block this evening. I might even take a book out of here at some point if this is a little too high. So feel free to take a few minutes and gather a few things you might want to keep handy. And other than that, I want to mention too that it's a very family-friendly class. These are really gentle poses, most of which will be seated on the floor so if you have little ones around you or if they come in at some point, maybe ask them to join you for a few minutes. It's just a suggestion, but just keep in mind it's a nice family-friendly, gentle class. So that being said, we're going to get started here in a comfortable cross-legged seat on the mat. You're welcome to find just an even sits bones, or maybe even take some blocks or a blanket and tuck it underneath you if you'd like a little bit more height. I'm just going to sit down here on my mat, bring my palms face down on top of the knees, and then we'll just begin by closing down the eyes. And I just thought of one thing I forgot to mention. That's the beauty of live yoga, and I'm glad I thought of it now. I wanted to mention music. That's very beneficial for some of us practicing. I'm not playing any music here in the studio, so I did put a playlist on my Spotify page. If you have Spotify, you can go on there. My name is Meredith Wolf, Wolf with an E, and you'll find Restore and Refocus. It's a public playlist. It's just a very gentle playlist, so even if you don't have Spotify or you can't find that playlist, any music source like Apple Music or Prime Music will have just a meditation playlist that you can ask for. And just a gentle, soothing song or tone for this practice is highly recommended, nothing too upbeat. But if you have time, go ahead, find that playlist and just start it whenever you have a moment. That being said, we can start practice. Thanks guys, thanks for bearing with me. So once again, palms come to rest face down on top of the knees. And we'll take the shoulders and scrunch them up towards the ears, and then just let them roll down the back. Eyes are gently closed. We'll find that shoulder roll a few more times. Breathing in, shoulders drawing towards the ears, and then exhale, let them roll down the back. Just beginning to loosen up. There's a lot of tension in the body. Maybe finding 2 or 3 more of those shoulder rolls. Whether you grind that breath with it or not, just feeling out the body. And then settling into a little stillness, stacking nice and tall through the spine, and beginning to shift your focus into your environment, onto your mat. We're all practicing in a different space. That's the unique benefit of this practice tonight. So just take a moment with the eyes closed. Picture the 4 walls of the room. Picture the floor beneath you. Picture the mat or the rug you might be seated on. Just drawing your attention ever closer to the body till eventually you're thinking of the body itself. Face is relaxed. The mouth is closed with the lips together but the teeth slightly apart. And then you're beginning to notice those inhales and exhales, moving in and out of the body. Are you already in those long, gentle yoga breaths, conscious. So take a moment to draw your attention in. Begin to lengthen every inhale and exhale. The breaths in will fill the lungs to the very top. And the breaths out will rinse them to the very bottom. We're going to try our best to practice this conscious breath here tonight, meaning that you really try to stay present in the body and the breath, especially once we settle into some of these longer holds and poses. That breath is what's going to keep you focused on your practice, and that's really what's going to help open the body up. But of course, there's so much going on, the mind is likely to wander, and there's no need to be hard on yourself if it does. It's the really nice part of a practice like this. Each and every one of these poses can be done on their own. So if you get interrupted or if the mind wanders, just draw yourself back in when you're ready. Taking a few more breaths here, just feeling out the spine. Maybe an inhale to roll the shoulders up once again, and exhale to melt them down. Let's take two more like that. Breathing in, breathing out. Another inhale, and exhale. And just finding stillness for a few more moments. We're just going to find one gentle breath exercise here. It's very simple. It's a 4-count breath. It's on the inhale, we'll just breathe in for 4 counts. And on the exhale, we'll breathe out for 4. This is an easy breath exercise that you can practice at any time to just consciously draw your attention in. Deep inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more with me. Inhale for 1, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Find 2 more like that on your own. As you're ready, those eyes can open up. We're going to take an inhale and reach the arms overhead. And then as you exhale, bring one hand down to the mat, doesn't matter which, and then just lean towards it. Just finding a gentle side bend here. You're not going to hold this too long. You might turn the gaze under the armpit for a breath in and a breath out. One more here. Inhale and exhale. Breath in to come back up. And then exhaling, left hand, or whichever you didn't start with, comes down to the mat. Just lean towards it, bending into that bottom elbow. Breathe in and breathe out. One more right here. Inhale and exhale. We'll come back up for a breath in, reaching up, maybe wiggle those fingers, and then come on down to palms on the mat. Coming to a tabletop position here. We'll find a few cat-cows to wake up the spine. We're very simple. We'll start with a nice flat spine, knees under the hips, wrists under the shoulders. We'll take a breath in to drop the belly, tilt the tailbone to the sky, and maybe tilt the chin forward. Exhale to bow the head, tuck the tailbone forward, and round the spine like an angry cat. Breath in, flowing through these. Inhale, heart rolls open. And exhale, bowing the head, round the spine. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more. Inhale. And exhale. We'll come back to that even spine. We'll tuck the toes, lift the knees, and press our hips back to a downward facing dog. We're not going to be here very long. We're just going to find a few traditional sun A's here this evening to help wake up the body for the stretches we're going to settle into afterward. So take a moment to settle into your downward facing dog. You might pedal those heels out slowly from side to side, or maybe wag the tail in the air. But eventually, feet will be about 6 inches apart, heels will melt towards the mat, and you might bring a gentle bend into the knees to find dimension in the legs, and tilt the tailbone a little higher towards the sky. Chest presses back towards those thighs. Take an inhale, and exhale. One more here. Breathe in, and breathe out. Next inhale, we'll rise to the tiptoes and bend our knees. As you exhale, look forward and just step to a fold at the top of your mat. Take a breath in to bring the palms to the shins and find a halfway lift, flat spine. Nice straight arms. Take an exhale here, holding this. Shoulder blades are melting down the back. Take one more breath in. And then exhale to fold over the toes, maybe bending the knees. On the inhale, we'll come all the way up, arms reaching overhead. And then exhale, bring the palms through the heart, opening by the sides. Pausing here for a moment, the eyes might close. Take a deep breath in, and a deep breath out. One more here in our mountain pose. Inhale. And exhale. Breath in, arms reach to the sky. Exhale to just fold through heart center. Breathing in, we'll find that halfway lift, palms coming to the shins. And then exhale to plant the palms, step the toes back, and then drop the knees down and lift the toes. We'll take an inhale to shift slightly forward over the wrists, and then exhale to lower to the belly. Palms will come to the small of the waist. On this first one, we'll breathe in for a baby cobra, just lifting the heart. And then exhale to lower down. This time coming up halfway. On the inhale, keep a little bend in the elbows. And exhale slowly to the mat. Full inhale, full cobra. Come on up, breathing in. And then exhale slowly over the knees. Take a child's pose here for one moment. Knees come wide. Big toes come to touch. And the hips sink back towards those heels. Forehead and arms can relax to the mat for a breath in. And a breath out. Take one more inhale. And exhale. And then slowly bring it back out to your downward facing dog. Don't worry, we'll have time to return to that child's pose in a moment. We'll find our downward facing dog, and we're just going to flow through 3 of those sun salutations together. So you listen to my cues, but move with your own breath at your own pace. And if at any point you want to take a rest, just come back to that child's pose. That's where we'll all end up eventually. Take one inhale and exhale. Breathe into the toes, bend the knees, and then exhale to walk to the top of the mat. Inhale to your halfway lift, and exhale to your fold. Breath in to come all the way up, the palms might touch overhead, and then exhale through the heart, opening by the side in mountain pose. Inhale to sweep back up to the sky, and exhale to fold all the way through heart center. Breathing in, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant the palms, step back, and lower the knees, lift the toes. Everything melts to the mat. Inhale to a cobra, palms at the small of the waist. And then exhale to tuck the toes and find downward dog. Just twice more. Breathe in to rise. Exhale to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling to your fold. Breath in to come all the way up, palms may touch overhead. And then exhale through heart center, opening into mountain pose. Inhale to sweep back up. And then exhale to fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, palms will plant. You'll step back, lower the knees, lift the toes, and then bring everything to the mat. Palms plant, we'll inhale for a cobra. And then exhaling over the knees, tucking the toes, downward facing dog. Last time through, then we settle in. Breathe in to rise, and exhale to come forward to the top. Inhale halfway. Exhale to bend and fold. Breath in to come all the way up. Exhaling through the heart into mountain pose. Inhale to reach back to the sky. And exhale to fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhaling, plant the palms, step it back, drop the knees, lift the toes. Lower the chest and the belly to the mat. And then breathe in to lift your heart for cobra. As you exhale, take the knees wide. Bring the big toes together to touch. And then come into that child's pose once again. Forehead comes to the mat. Arms relax on the floor. I would like to mention as we settle into our first pose that sometimes you might look at the screen and I might not be in the pose because I'm instructing to you. So please feel free to just settle in and listen to my voice. Don't worry so much about what I'm doing. Most of these poses we have done before and are pretty familiar. You're welcome to look for reference, but if you see me up here messing around or looking at my notes, just don't be alarmed. But settling into child's pose, there's plenty of options here to add support into it. You might take that blanket, or maybe you've tied some books together, or you've got a yoga block. Anything like that, you could tuck right underneath the hips, give you a little support there, something to kind of sit on as you bring the rest of the body forward. Or another option is under the forehead. That takes a little pressure off the neck. And there's always under the chest, especially if you have a nice long blanket or you stack a few pillows, then you can really hug the body on top of a pillow here in this child's pose and add full support under the chest and the belly. The whole point of this restorative class is to be comfortable. I know there's a lot going on. We all have very unique schedules in our lives at this time, so it might be harder than usual to sort of find that space to let go of your worries and any anxiety going on. So while you're here for the next 75 minutes or so, try your best to just let it go. Give permission to yourself to be okay with not knowing all the answers. Be okay with knowing that you're here taking care of yourself. And sometimes that is not only the best thing you can do, but it's all that you can do. And that's okay. And that's what we're here to make the most of this evening. So just settle into child's, take a few deep breaths. Try to relax through the shoulders. If at any point this pose or any other becomes too tense or uncomfortable, just back off. Especially now more than usual, you're just in the comfort of your own home. So really indulge, give the body what it needs. If you decide that you want to stay in child's pose for the rest of class, just go ahead and do so, and no one will be any wiser. Just taking about 5 more breaths here. Deep inhales and exhales. Maybe your biggest one so far. Take one more deep breath in and a full breath out. Then gently beginning to walk yourself back up onto your shins. Taking any blankets or blocks aside, we'll bring the shins and the knees back together to touch here for a moment. Then to rinse that out a little bit, we're going to plant the palms behind our toes on the mat, and then take an inhale to plant into the shins and just lift the hips. Maybe the head drops back a little, just lifting everything up. Take a deep breath in, and a full breath out, sinking the hips back onto the heels. We'll flow that twice. Inhale to lift, exhale to sit. Once more, breathe in, and breathe out. From here, come forward onto the hands and knees. Lift the feet, maybe tap out the top of them, or swivel them side to side, rolling the ankles, really anything that feels nice. Just releasing that tension. Then from here, we'll just rinse it out with a puppy pose. Not going to hold it very long. It's sort of a variation on that child's pose. The hips are going to stay lifted over the shins. And you can crawl fingertips out. Scooch back a little bit here. You can crawl the fingertips out and keep them peaked and keep the forehead on the mat, maybe the chin, or you can just let the arms relax and bring the forehead down. It's a gentle opener. It can be deeper if you'd like it to be by tucking the chin, but it's opening across the back of your shoulders. It's much like child's pose, except the hips are lifted and squaring off. Let the forehead rest. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. That block can always come under the forehead also. Taking another breath in and a full breath out. Last one. Inhale and exhale. Slowly, gently crawling the hands back towards the body. And then sitting on the heels. Take a moment to find that block or blanket, anything you'd like. I'm going to take one of my books out of my block here. We're going to find a supported hero's pose. So I would recommend taking your block and tucking it under the hips here, nice and evenly to give you a seat to sit on. And then the tops of the feet tuck in here along the block, so your heels are next to your hips. And you can always add more support if you'd like to sit higher or lower. We'll take an inhale to reach the arms overhead. Exhale to bring them into heart center and gently rest them on the thighs. Maybe the palms turn up, bringing a little positivity and energy and light into the body. Shoulder blades are relaxed. We'll find a few moments here in this seated heroes. Nice support under the hips. Spine should be stacked up nice and tall. Just taking a few moments to notice your own strength here. I know, I'm going to say it many times tonight, there's a lot going on. Not just in today's world, but each and every time that I teach this class, it's meant to be what you need it to be to get away from all those worries. But in this pose, you're also meant to feel your own strength, your own sense of power, just noticing the body and how it feels, and taking in any feelings that you're feeling, knowing that none of them make you weaker, none of them make you and bring you any harm. Just feel what it is that your body wants you to feel, and know that you have the strength to cope with all those feelings. Breathing into it and letting the breath guide you through any discomfort. Maybe you come back to that 4-count inhale and 4-count exhale. Just finding about 5 more breaths here. Fill them to capacity with every inhale. And rinse them with every exhale. Take one more breath in and a full breath out. As you're ready, you can come back onto the knees to remove that block from underneath you. And then, very fancy-like, you're going to come to a seat and extend the legs for a moment, letting those knees release, maybe rolling out the ankles. Probably feels nice after that hero's pose. Just taking a moment, just releasing some of that stretch. As you're ready, take an inhale, lift the arms overhead, and then exhale to just gently fold towards the legs. There's no need to grip anything here, just rinsing it out for a breath in and a deep breath out. Then, as you're ready, coming back onto the hands and knees, we'll plant the palms, tuck the toes, and inhale to downward facing dog. As you exhale, just settle in, drop the heels down. One breath in, lift the right leg to hip height. And then as you exhale, bend that knee towards the wrist. We're coming into a half pigeon. Many of you might feel like you're just not in the mood for it. And if that's the case, please feel free to find a different hip opener, anything that makes you feel comfortable. And of course, many of us are used to coming into this late in a vinyasa practice, and the body's a little bit more limber and loosened up. And the whole difference here is that you're meant to add support to the body. So I would really suggest taking that block or that blanket and tucking it under the hip for this one. I know we like to really settle into the hip by not supporting it, but here we want to give it some support to let it open up in a more passive and gentle way. So squaring off the hips, adding some support under the right hip. The left toes are going to walk back slightly to lengthen the leg, and you'll take a deep breath in here, still lifted on long arms to fill the lungs. And then as you exhale, slowly bring it down to the mat to your own level of comfort. Many of you know your half pigeon well. You know where you might like some extra support. You can add a block or a blanket under the forehead or the chest here as well. Just bringing yourself to your own level of comfort in this fold. You can always come forearms on support as well. And one option, other alternative option I would just like to demo quickly is a reclining half pigeon. So it's the same pose, same benefit for the hip. You're coming onto a recline on the mat. You're bending, in this case, the left knee towards the chest and crossing the right ankle over the knee. And then you can wrap your fingers, or interlace your fingers and wrap your hands around the left thigh or maybe the top of the left knee. And by bringing the left leg towards your chest, you're going to feel a stretch in the right hip. So it's just taking that same stretch and bringing it onto the back. So please make yourself comfortable in one or the other, or any hip opener you'd like. We are going to settle in for some deep breaths. You're used to holding hip openers typically. So we are going to hold this one here, and that's not meant to stress you out. I'm just giving you a clear picture of what lies ahead. We're going to take about 12 or 15 breaths on this side. So really try to make that some conscious breath. Use this as a meditation. You can find that 4-count inhale and exhale, or you might bring a mantra into the equation. A mantra can be just about anything. You can make almost anything into one. It could be a song lyric or a quote, or it could just be 2 words, something as simple as inhaling light and exhaling darkness, inhaling air Exhaling, well, I didn't think about that one. Exhaling, dust. Those are kind of the same thing. There's plenty of, in fact, I wrote down a list. So while you're here in your half pigeon, taking those deep breaths, I'll give you a few options of mantras. Inhaling positivity and exhaling negativity. Inhale love and exhale hate. Inhale joy and exhale sorrow. I even have a few more that I'll share with you a little later in our class. But mantras can be a great addition to a practice, especially here in an intense hip opener. We store so much in our hips, and now more than ever, you might be feeling those emotions in this pose, and you're meant to let the body feel that and enjoy it and breathe into it. Just accepting it and letting it roll over you with every inhale and exhale. Just about 4 more deep breaths here on this side. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Gently, bit by bit, beginning to come up to your long arms. And to rinse this out, roll onto the right hip, removing the support, and just bring both legs out in front of you, extending them, shaking them out. We will switch onto the other side in a moment. But first, just taking a gentle stretch here. I'm going to face head on for a moment. So if you just had your right leg tucked underneath you, you're going to take your right leg long in front of you, and then take your left foot and step it outside that right thigh, finding a half floor of the fishes here. So the left hand will come behind you. The right arm will inhale to the sky, and then as you exhale, tuck that right elbow to the right knee and gently begin to twist open here. Taking as gentle or deepest twist as you need here, but that left hand is planted behind you, keeping that left arm nice and firm so your spine can stay as tall as possible. You might look over the left shoulder, breathing in and breathing out. One more. Inhale and exhale. Slowly, gently come back to center. Shake out the legs. Maybe roll out the ankles once again. And then gently, as you're ready, make your way back to your downward facing dog so we can come into that hip opener on the other side. And if you don't want to go through downward facing dog, just take the left knee forward to your left wrist as you're ready to come into your half pigeon, or your sleeping swan, as it's called in the restorative yin realm of yoga. So that block or blanket now comes under the left hip, or whichever you didn't hit the other time. And if you're with me, the right toes come back behind you, lengthening the leg. You'll make sure those hips are squaring off nicely towards the mat. And then on long arms, find a breath in, maybe tilting the chin to the sky. And exhale to slowly bring the chest down towards the mat. Once again, knowing that there's plenty of options to add support. Maybe something comes under the forearms here to bring you a little closer. You definitely want to be finding a stretch here, but you don't want to be finding any pain. And remember, there's that reclined option as well. I'll demo that quickly here. If you are switching sides, you would come onto the back. The right knee will bend towards the chest, and you'll take the left ankle and cross it over the right knee. Then your hands will interlace around the right thigh, and you'll work that thigh towards the chest to stretch in the left hip. If you're in that reclined version, maybe tuck a block or a blanket under the head for support if your shoulders are scrunching up towards the sky. So settling into one of those two options of your half pigeon, a nice hip opener here, but adding support to it where possible to really let the body open up on its own time. Not forcing it at all, just letting it do what it needs to do. That's the biggest difference between this restorative approach and a yin practice. The poses are often the same, but in a yin practice, you're sort of meant to push the body a little bit to the edge of discomfort, sort of to that edge of pain and stretching. And the idea is to get it to that threshold and then let it open from there. And that's one great approach. But in the restorative, you're meant to sort of just bring it to comfort, indulge yourself, really let the body be what it needs to be. So make it comfortable and then let it do the work from there. So just about 5 more deep breaths on this side. Take one more breath in, a full breath out. And slowly begin to stack it back up to your long arms. Shift onto that left hip and bring that right leg out in front of you, shaking them both out long, just releasing the tension. We'll rinse out the other side with that half lord of the fishes. So if you were with me with that left knee tucked in towards the body, you're going to step the right foot over that left thigh and step it outside the knee. The right hand will plant behind you on the floor. You'll inhale the left arm to the sky and then tuck the left elbow to the left knee for the twist. You can use that right arm to prop yourself up and keep the spine stacked. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Another inhale. And exhale. And then slowly coming back around and shaking out the legs. From here, we're going to find our seated forward fold. So you've got two options. You can make it a butterfly fold or a dragonfly fold. If you'd like the butterfly option, you'll tuck the soles of the feet in towards the body and the knees will just splay apart. If you're going for that option, I would not tuck the heels in as close as possible or maybe even as close as you're used to for a butterfly fold. Take them out a little further, a little bit more relaxed away from you. And then the other option would be a dragonfly, and you can take the legs wide, side to side. Either way, we're going to be folding forward here, letting our body do the work. So if you're taking those legs wide, again, you're welcome to go as wide as possible, or you might bring them in an inch closer than usual, just to give your body a little less tension. So whichever way you're choosing, and of course, you're welcome to switch throughout if you'd like. If one gets uncomfortable, take the legs long or bring them in. I'm going to choose the dragonfly approach, and we'll take an inhale together. So lift the arms overhead, and then as you exhale, just bring those arms forward, palms up, and just drape them either over your shins or between your legs, and let the head rest forward, and just let the body be nice and heavy here in this fold. This is different than a vinyasa fold or an ashtanga fold. We're not pulling ourselves into it here. We're not asking the body to do anything. We're just letting the weight of the head and the shoulders bring us deeper into this fold. It's amazing what gravity can do if we just let it. We're constantly sort of fighting gravity. We see it as this force working against us, holding us down or wearing us down, but so often it can really be beneficial. It can help us stretch the body and relax into it. Those eyes can close. Just begin to see if there's anywhere you can release more tension. If this does become too much on the neck at any point, you can always tuck a block or two or maybe 10 books under the forehead to stack up for support. One variation that sometimes works is in that butterfly pose. If you can fold deep enough, which I can't really, but you can put a block here on your feet and then rest your head on top of the block. So don't be afraid to play around with it and find somewhere comfortable to settle in. No one's watching you, none of us can see each other. So do what you need to be comfortable here. Maybe you're still in that child's pose, and that's great. If you are, good for you. Just settle in and take some breaths. I have a few more mantras I can share with you while you breathe here in this fold. Technology will cooperate. So I'll read a couple. And breathe with me as I read. When I breathe in, I feel energized. When I breathe out, I feel relaxed. When I breathe in, I feel supported. When I breathe out, I feel free. When I breathe in, I feel connected. When I breathe out, I feel focused. When I breathe in, I feel happy. When I breathe out, I feel peaceful. When I breathe in, I feel ready. When I breathe out, I feel content. 2 more. When I breathe in, I feel hopeful. When I breathe out, I feel satisfied. When I breathe in, I am filled with ideas. When I breathe out, I'm ready with solutions. Take 1 more inhale. And 1 more exhale. And before you know it, we're done with the pose. It's the beauty of a mantra. So slowly inhale, roll yourself back up to a seat. Bring those legs in, or actually, well, if your legs were long, bring them in. And if they were in, take them out. Just whichever, switch them up, shake them out a little bit. And then from here, we're just going to come back to that tabletop position. Coming back onto the hands and knees. We just have 1 more stretch here before we come onto our backs. So we're going to find that nice flat spine. In fact, let's take a few cat-cows together. Inhale to drop the belly and roll the heart open. And then exhale to round into that cat, pressing into the palms. Inhale, drop the belly. And exhale to round. And let's find 1 more. Breathing in and breathing out. Then we'll all meet back in our neutral spine. The right hand is going to plant on the mat underneath the face. And on the inhale, take that left arm up to the sky. As you exhale, left arm is going to thread all the way under your right armpit until the left shoulder comes down to the mat. The hips are going to stay lifted here on top of the knees. And then you have a few options with this right hand that's just kind of looking for a home. You can actually take that hand and tuck it under the left side of your face. It's a nice little pillow while you're here. Or, if you'd like a deeper stretch, the right hand can come forward on the mat, and you press it firmly down there, and you get a nice stretch through the right armpit. And then finally, if you like, you can take that right hand to the back left hip. And that's a nice twist all around through the shoulders. That left shoulder is on the mat, opening deeply here in this threaded needle. Take an inhale and exhale. One more. Breathe in and breathe out. Bring that right hand back towards your face on the mat and press into it to inhale and take the left arm back to the sky. Left hand comes back to the mat and then plants right underneath the face. We're just going to switch sides. Inhaling, right arm comes up. Exhale to thread it all the way under the left armpit, bringing the right shoulder down to the mat. I'm going to twist around here so I'm facing the camera. So that right shoulder comes down, and now you have those same options with the left hand. It might tuck underneath the face for support. You might crawl it forward on the mat and press it down, or you might take it to the back right pocket for the twist. Settling in for 2 deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. One more, breathe in and breathe out. Pressing that left hand back towards the face. Take an inhale to unravel that right arm to the sky. And then really fancy, you're just going to sit down and bring the legs out in front of you. And then take a moment, make sure you've got that block or whatever you've been using handy. Bring it with you as you lie down onto your back. The knees can come into the chest for a little squeeze, maybe rolling side to side to massage the lower spine. And then from here, take a full body stretch. Extend those legs long, reach the arms overhead. Just like you're waking up first thing in the morning. It seems like this makes you yawn no matter what time of day I find it programmed. Just roll out the ankles and interlace the hands and bring them to the back of the head. Don't worry, we're not doing any ab work. We're going to take an inhale to lift the shoulders and the heels off the mat. As you exhale, take the shoulders and the heels to the right and bring them back down. So you've got everything back down on the mat. You've just bent the body into a little smile. So it's hard to see on camera probably because it's nice and flat, but I'll try from this angle. You're just bending the body into a gentle side bend here. Everything still squares down. And you can begin to imagine yourself lying on a beach. Someday we'll all be able to travel again, and beaches will be a thing. You can imagine just some sun beating down on you, the waves hitting the shore, in time with your breath. Inhales and exhales. They just flow in and out of the body the same way the waves do from the shore. I'm just taking about 3 more breaths on this side. On your next inhale, gently lift the shoulders and the heels back to center. And then as you exhale, just take them to the other side. For me, it's the left, but it's just whatever you didn't hit the first time. Bending into a smile in the other direction. This is my fancy bananasana pose. Just bending like a little banana. And you're either back on that beach or maybe now you're lying in a hammock, lakeside somewhere. And as the hammock swings right, you inhale. And as it swings left, you exhale. Inhale right. And exhale left. Just relaxing. Soaking it all in for about 5 more breaths. one more breath in. And a deep breath out. Inhale to bring everything back to center. And then draw the knees into the chest for a little squeeze. Rolling again side to side, releasing any tension in the low back. And then from here, the arms will come out to a T, palms will face down. We'll take a breath in here at center. And then as you exhale, roll onto the right hip and bring the knees over to the right side. Typically here, you might not add support, but again, I would encourage you to do so. So for me, I'm going to take a blanket and tuck it between my knees here to give them a little bit more room for the twist. And those palms are out to a T. The head will turn towards the left shoulder, or whichever shoulder is opposite of your knees at this time. Trying to find a twist through the entire length of your spine. The eyes are closed if they weren't already, and the shoulder blades will remain as evenly on the mat as possible here. Don't stress yourself too much if that left shoulder tucks up slightly, but trying to keep it down towards the mat for a full twist. We won't be here too long, just 4 or 5 breaths. Just letting the knees do the work here. Making these some of your biggest, fullest breaths so far. As weird as it may sound, those inhales and exhales help to massage all your internal organs here in this twist. You can all use a little detoxifying right now. If you're anything like me, you've been eating nothing but cookies and snacks. Take one more breath in, and a full breath out. Inhaling, the knees will come back through center. You're welcome to squeeze them once again and roll side to side here to rinse. But then as you're ready, you'll roll onto the left hip and take the knees over in that direction. That means the gaze will turn towards the right shoulder, or whichever is opposite of your knees and on this side. Shoulder blades remain as close to the mat as possible, and find some dramatic breaths here. Really deep inhales and exhales to rinse everything out. Take one more breath in, and a full breath out. Knees can come back to center. You can give them a squeeze, or you can bend the knees towards the chest. Take the hands to the outer edges of your feet. We'll slide down slightly here. You'll be sure to stack the feet right over the knees here. And then you're welcome to pull down on those feet, almost like you're trying to bring your knees towards your armpits here. But you want to focus on pinning as much of the low back to the mat as possible. That tension comes towards the tailbone and the lower spine, really pinning it down. Breathe in, breathe out. One more here in dead bug. Inhale and exhale. If you'd like to slowly roll side to side into happy baby, go ahead and do so. This is a great one if you've got any kids around. They can probably teach this one to you. Then from here, the feet will release to the mat. You're going to set the feet about hip distance apart. Give me a moment just to adjust my block, make it a little tighter. We're going to move into a supported bridge pose. So those feet will come to hip width distance on the mat. If you're not sure where that is, you can bring the feet together and then toe heel them apart once. So for me, they come to about here. And then the heels work in nice and close to the body, setting up this back bend. The arms will come long, that block is handy. We'll take an inhale, and then as you exhale, press into the feet and lift the hips. Take your block, maybe a blanket or a pillow, and just tuck it underneath you, right at the lower back. Then the hips rest on the block, and we'll find a nice supported back bend. This should feel pretty good on the low back after all the folding we've done today. So while you're here, really dramatize the breath. Big Buddha belly breaths. You're going to be able to watch that belly rise and fall. If the eyes are open, it gives you something to look at, but it really helps to rinse you out all through the front of the body. We're holding a lot of tension in our chest right now. Feel a lot of pressure there. So we're going to work on opening that up here for a few moments. Taking 4 or 5 more of those Buddha belly breaths. Trying to fill the lungs to capacity every time. Two more. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale. And exhale. Then press into the feet. Lift the hips. Now take your block or your books. Turn it to its lowest height beneath you. Bring the hips to rest on it. And then lift the feet to the sky. This is a wonderful restorative inversion. It's a supported shoulder stand. This is a wonderful option, especially if you only find time in your day to take one yoga pose. I cannot say how beneficial this one can be. It just is nice and supportive for the hips. It's a low back stretch. It's detoxifying. It gives the heart a break. It reverses the flow of blood, and it gives you a reason to just chill out and just let the body release. You can literally feel the tension draining out of you in this pose. There's a few other ways you can find it at home. If you have a couch nearby, you could just take your legs over the couch like this and sit yourself on the floor. That's a really wonderful option. Or you can always take the legs up the wall. A wall will bring support for the whole length of the legs. You can really scrunch yourself up against it. And then you can even take the legs wide on that wall for support. But even if the legs are lifted here, feel free to splay them apart and roll out the ankles. Palms are open by the sides. And the eyes are closed. See if there's any last little bit of worry or tension that you can let go of. While you're here, remind yourself that the weight of the world is not on your shoulders. I know that it might feel like that sometimes, and maybe we all feel that way right now. That's even more confirmation that this is a team effort. And it's so important to take care of yourself so that you can be a part of a greater team. So never feel guilty about letting yourself have this time or this practice. Never feel guilty about doing whatever it is that you need to do for yourself and your body and your spirit. Continuing to roll out the ankles if that feels nice. Just about 5 more breaths here. Still in that conscious inhale and exhale, just for a few more moments. breath in, and a deep breath out. And then with the hips still on the block for a moment, draw the knees into the chest. Give them a nice squeeze, wrap the shins around them, and even tilt your head up towards your knees, really squeezing everything in here. And then as you exhale, release it all, remove the block, and come flat onto the mat. Take a moment to find a full body stretch, just working out all that work we just did. And then we've got one final pose here before we settle in for our Shavasana. So, it's a heart opener. As I mentioned, we were going to work a little on the heart, and I think that's a great way to close our practice this evening. We're going to really work on opening the heart, taking in anything that comes into it, accepting any feelings that come out of it, and releasing tension in the chest and the center of ourselves. So, take that block, and again, you can make it as short as you need to if you're using the book option. And whatever it is you're using, you'll bring it right to the bottom of your shoulder blades. For me, I bring it right along that line there, sort of my bra line, if you will. And then take the palms out wide and let the head drape back over the block. If your head does not come to the mat, you might want to shorten whatever you're laying on, or you can take like a sweatshirt or another pillow and just tuck it under your forehead to give you a little bit more support. You don't want the entire weight of the head on the neck here. So do make sure the head comes to some point of contact. And then while you're here, you're just going to let the body go. Let gravity do all the work. Just lie here and let the heart open. If you'd like a little hip variation and it feels okay, you can bring the soles of the feet together to touch here in your Supta Baddha Konasana legs, those butterfly feet. That's just a different variation. It's a nice little final hip opener for your practice. Or if the legs long is too much tension on the low back, a third option with the legs is to bring your feet wide on the mat and then bring the knees together to touch. So maybe trying one of those three options here and settling in and continuing that conscious breath. This is the last time I will ask you to pay attention to your breathing. But breathing deeply will only open you further. It's the only movement the body needs to open itself. Settling into this heart opener for just 8 or 9 more breaths. If at any point it becomes too much, you're welcome to remove that support and settle into your final relaxation. And I know many of you at home may be inclined to skip that Shavasana, your final rest. I know that might be tempting. I'm sure all of us have dinner to make or something to do. But I cannot encourage you enough to take those few final moments for Shavasana. Really let your body soak in all the work and effort you've put into it. And give yourself that cherry on top of your practice. It's about 3 more breaths here in the supported fish pose. Take 1 more breath in, and a deep breath out. And then gently propping yourself up on the elbows and forearms to remove that support. And then taking the legs out long if they aren't already there, opening the palms wide by your side. Let the feet splay apart, bring everything to rest on the mat. If you're at home in a bright room, you might bring a towel over the eyes to block out any extra stimulus, or maybe bring on music if you don't already have some playing. Whether you have my playlist going or not, I can tell you I was going to play John Lennon Imagine as Shavasana. It's a great Shavasana song. And almost any music source you have will probably have that song. So maybe you turn that on here. Just lie back on the mat and just begin to soak in all this effort. Accept all this openness and let go of anything you might still be holding on to. Taking one more minute here in your final relaxation. If you're comfortable where you are, you can stay right there for a few final moments of peace and quiet. Or you might, if it feels right, roll onto the right side and come into the fetal position for a few moments of stillness. I have a very brief reading for you this evening. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. So if those eyes are still closed, keep them there for one more moment and slowly make your way to a seated position at the top of the mat. Bringing those hands to heart center for a moment of gratitude once you get there. I want to thank you all for sharing this practice with me tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it worked in a live practice. I felt pretty good, so I hope you did too. And everyone stay safe and sound. We'll take an inhale to lift the thumbs to the third eye and open our hearts. As we exhale, we'll bow and say, Namaste. Thanks.